Hey folks, this is Kalani. In this video I want to go over some of the new gear sets that we'll have to collect in patch 10.2 from quite a few different sources. We have previews of every new tier set coming with the next major patch, and we also know what their tier set bonuses are going to be, so we'll take a good look through all of those. Some of these seem to be kind of insane, and I mean that in a very good way. We also have some very cool nature themed gear sets that come from outdoor world content in 10.2, and some of them actually look better than some of the tier sets, which is kind of crazy. So let's go through these amazing new gear sets, the powerful tier set bonuses, and there's also a huge change to the revival catalyst that makes this whole patch even better. Now before we jump in, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss another video. Let's start with the open world gear sets because these are super cool and weren't previewed in the 10.2 announcement. If you were hoping for some more Druid-y armor sets or Emerald Dream themed armor, these sets should do quite nicely. The cloth set is a full robe made of leaves, vines and flowers. The shoulders look great and I love the special effects crawling up the vines. It definitely fits into the whole Emerald Dream theme we've got going on with this patch, and for anyone looking for a cloth set that has a more nature feel to it, this will definitely tick that box. Each set also has at least 5 different colour variations. We've got the typical greens and blues, but also some fall colours, spring colours, winterish colours, and of course some fiery options thrown in for good measure. I love the variety that we're seeing, so I'm excited to get my hands on some of these sets. The leather set is also kind of a robe, but not a full robe. The legs are shown and it's more of a half skirt kind of thing, which I honestly prefer. I think the older tube robe look is quite outdated at this point, and the same kind of leaves, vines and flowers are used throughout the set, but there's also some wrapped leather for the torso. The shoulders also have similar special effects as the cloth set and look really awesome. The headpiece is very interesting. It comes to sort of a beak-like point with a massive crown of wooden bark with extra special effects towards the back of it. A very cool set in my opinion. The male set is another half skirt, but this one looks like feathered leaves and looks really cool in my opinion. This set seems to skip the flowers and just uses leaves, vines and bark looking materials. The shoulders for this set are the least impressive that we've seen so far. They just don't seem to have much interesting going on. The wispy effects are nice, but other than that it looks a bit bland to me. The headpiece for this one is kind of like a stag skull, and you have a very impressive set of bark antlers to go along with that visage. And then the plate set looks much sturdier with a lot of stone and rock elements tied into the same leaves and vines from the previous set. That's definitely a heavier nature-based set, and I think it works pretty well. There aren't too many special effects, just the same wispy smoke stuff on the shoulders and headpiece. The shoulders look solid though, and the headpiece for the plate set is another animal mask. It looks more like a cat or saber to me, but I guess it could also be a wolf or even a bear at a push. Either way, I think it looks great, and some of the different colour options look fantastic. Overall, these sets should be a great addition to everyone's transmog collection, and everyone has at least one cool nature themed set, even if your tier set doesn't really fit into the Emerald Dream theme. Moving on, let's take a closer look at all of the new tier sets coming with patch 10.2. We have 6 different versions for each class. 4 of them are going to come from the raid with the 4 raid difficulties, and then 2 of them will come from PvP. So keep an eye on the current set and where it comes from as we go through them all. We also have our first look at what the new tier set bonuses are going to be, so we'll go over those as well. We're going to go through each class in alphabetical order, and of course I will have timestamps for you if you want to skip around to the ones you are most interested in. First up are the Death Knights. For Blood, the 2 set gives you a chance when consuming a Bone Shield charge to cause your next Heart Strike to apply Ash and Decay, reducing the damage you take and increasing the damage you deal for 8 seconds. The 4 set causes Soul Reaper's Execute and Abomination Limb damage to also apply Ash and Decay, and Heart Strike and Blood Boil direct damage extend the effect, so keeping that effect going as long as you can should provide some huge bonuses both defensively and offensively. For Frost, Chill Streak's range is increased and can bounce off of you. Each time Chill Streak bounces off of an enemy, you get a damage boost, stacking up to 5 times. The 4 set causes Chill Streak to get 2 additional bounces, and when it bounces you have a chance to gain a rune, reduce the cooldown of Chill Streak, and reduce the cooldown of Empower Rune Weapon. That's one jam-packed set bonus with a lot of potential. For Unholy, the 2 set causes Apocalypse to summon an additional Magus of the Dead, and their Shadow Bolts are now volleys that deal damage up to 4 nearby enemies. The 4 set extends the duration on Magus of the Dead when spending runes, and your Mages will also give you a damage boost. These sound like some very powerful set bonuses overall. The set itself looks great. It is relatively simple, but it's very effective. Metal skulls, spikes and plates, what more could you want for a Death Knight set? It's got a robed hood kind of helmet with a metal skull face mask with spikes coming out of the top and out of the eye sockets. I don't think you could get more Death Knight if you tried. Moving on, we have the Demon Hunters. For Havoc, the 2 set gives every slash of Blade Dance a chance to throw glaive at an enemy for 35% of normal damage, and the 4 set causes throw glaive to reduce the cooldown of the hunt, and the hunt's damage over time will last a bit longer. For Vengeance, Sigil of Flame's periodic damage has a chance to flare up, shattering an additional soul fragment and dealing damage. Each 40 fury you spend reduces its cooldown by 1 second as well. The 4 set gives you a damage increase, healing increase, and max health increase buff whenever you damage a target afflicted by Sigil of Flame, so they could end up being quite powerful, but the set bonuses don't seem quite as exciting as they maybe could be. The set is a very interesting one because it kind of removes your head. I don't know if we've seen that before, or at least we haven't seen it very often, but in place of your head you kind of have a spire of flame that matches the colours of whichever set you're running around with. It's a very impactful look. The huge horns on the headpiece also look great, the skull mask is awesome, and everything in the set comes together well. Druids are up next. For balance, the 2 set reduces the cast time and increases the damage of your filler spells when you exit an eclipse. The 4 set increases the current eclipse damage bonus whenever you use Star Surge and Starfall, so another tier set that heavily focuses on pooling resources for your eclipse windows. For Feral, the 2 set gives you a big damage boost for 8 seconds whenever you use Feral Frenzy, and then the 4 set reduces the cooldown of Feral Frenzy and causes your abilities to burn for 10% of the damage done during Smouldering Frenzy. For Guardian, the 2 set transfers 20% of damage and 100% of armor gained during Rage of the Sleeper into a special shield, which then absorbs 10% of the damage you take while the shield persists, and the 4 set lets you extend Rage of the Sleeper and causes the absorbed shield to also reflect any absorbed damage back at the attacker. And then for Restoration, the 2 set causes you and your Grove Guardian's Nourish casts to heal 2 additional allies within 40 yards at 40% effectiveness, and the 4 set causes Clear Casting Regrowth to also cast Nourish onto nearby allies at 200% effectiveness, so another tier set that works together. I always love it when the 2 set and the 4 set kind of bounce off each other and play off each other's effects. The set itself is quite interesting. I think it was a cool idea with the owl shoulders, the fur and the feathers, and everything coming together to make a cool druid set, but it did end up looking a little boxy maybe. Some parts of the set still look incredible, and I love the cloak and shoulders especially. This is definitely one of the sets that looks much better in-game when compared to the still images we had in the previews, especially when you get to look at the various different colour options that we'll have to collect. Evokers are up next with some very powerful set bonuses in tow. For Augmentation, the 2 set causes every third prescience to last 100% longer, which is already causing some stirs among the cutting edge community. The 4 set causes prescience to empower your next eruption to deal extra damage for each prescience you have active, and also extends Ebon Might further. For Devastation, the 2 set gives you a big stacking damage buff while Dragon Rage is active, and then the 4 set lets that damage buff persist after Dragon Rage ends, and you also get Essence Burst every 5 seconds. This one seems quite strong and should massively increase the potential of Dragon Rage. For Preservation, the 2 set causes Empower spells to also fire off Living Flames at enemies or allies for 40% effectiveness, and the 4 set causes Living Flame to also apply Echo at 100% effectiveness, or to a nearby ally who doesn't already have Echo. This seems kind of crazy. Not only does it give you easier access to additional full effectiveness echoes, but the 2 set turns your Empower spells into mini Echo bombs. I'll be very interested to watch this tier set evolve over the course of the PTR. Evoker sets always seem to be a bit weird because you won't see most of the gear while in your dragon form, but I actually really like this set. The dust sparkles coming off the shoulders are very bronze Dragonflight-esque, and it just looks like a really elegant dragon-themed robe. It's a bit simple overall, but I really like the headpiece and the shoulders. Sadly, the mythic set does seem to be a bit broken. I assume we'll have special effects where those big white blocks currently are. Up next we have the Hunters. For Beast Mastery, the 2 set causes Bestial Wrath to summon a dire beast for 15 seconds, and the 4 set lets dire beasts obey your kill commands, and they can gain Beast Cleave. I have a feeling we'll be seeing lots and lots of pets in the melee group once again. Dire beasts are going to be everywhere. For Marksmanship, the 2 set causes Rapid Fire to also launch a volley on your target for 2 seconds, which I think is going to be hilarious and could also be really powerful to just trigger trick shots, assuming it can anyway. The 4 set causes Legacy of the Windrunners to also give Volley a chance to fire wind arrows at targets damaged by Volley. And then for Survival, the 2 set causes Fury of the Eagle to increase your and your pet's critical strike chance and critical damage dealt. The 4 set causes Fury of the Eagle to throw a free Wildfire Bomb, give you a charge of Wildfire Bomb, and your next Wildfire Bomb deals more damage, so bombs for days. The set itself looks okay. I really like the shoulders and the special effects you have there. I think it looks better than the official preview did. Maybe that's because it's on a different character model, but I'm not a huge fan of the headpiece. It's an okay set overall, but not too special. Mages are next on the list with Arcane up first. The 2 set gives you a damage boost whenever you consume clear casting up to 10%. The 4 set boosts your arcane missiles and also lets them cleave nearby targets after consuming 6 clear casting buffs. For Fire, the 2 set causes your Pyroblast and Flame Strike crits to give you a stacking crit strike damage buff, and the 4 set doubles your Searing Rage buff while Combustion is active. For Frost, the 2 set buffs up Glacial Spike and causes it to deal AoE damage when it shatters a frozen target, and then the 4 set also gives Glacial Strike a chance to trigger Brain Freeze. Not the most exciting tier set bonuses on this list, but at least most of the Mage set bonuses should provide a decent burst of damage. I actually really like how this set looks. I've seen a lot of polarizing opinions on this one. People seem to either love it or hate it. We haven't had many huge hat sets in WoW, and this one reminds me a lot of Final Fantasy. It's a cool look, and there are a lot of little bits and bobs that move and rotate around the model. Some of the colour variations are better than others, and there's some clipping issues with the hat right now, but I really like this set overall. Moving on, we come to the Monks. For Brewmaster, the 2 set causes Breath of Fire to deal bonus damage, and you heal for 50% of fire damage dealt. The 4 set gives your attacks against targets afflicted with Breath of Fire a chance to deal extra Shadow Flame damage, and you can gain a Stagger Shield that helps prevent your stagger damage entirely. For Mistweaver, Renewing Mists and its jumps apply Chi Harmony, increasing your healing to that target, and then the 4 set causes healing done to Chi Harmony targets to also store some healing which disperses among nearby allies. For Windwalker, the 2 set gives your melee attacks a chance to make Spinning Crane Kick free and gives you a bonus to your next Blackout Kick. The 4 set causes Empowered Blackout Kicks to reduce the cooldown of Fists of Fury, Rising Sun Kick, Strike of the Windlord, and Whirling Dragon Punch. This is another set that I think turned out quite well. It kind of looks like a Power Ranger outfit, and I mean that in a good way. The colour combinations are gorgeous. I love the crane theme with the shoulders and the feathers everywhere, and the cloud patterns scattered around the various pieces really bring it together. I've seen some folks kind of mocking this set, but it looks really good in my opinion. Paladins are up next. For Holy, the 2 set gives Glimmer of Light an additional heal over time effect when it dissipates or is refreshed, and then the 4 set reduces the cooldown of Daybreak by 15 seconds. For Retribution, Expurgation lasts an additional 3 seconds and deals 50% increased damage. Casting Judgment or Divine Toll on a target with Expurgation causes Wrathful Sanction, dealing holy damage to the target and resonating 20% of the holy damage to up to 4 nearby enemies. For the 4 set, Wrathful Sanction grants you Echoes of Wrath, causing your next Templar's Verdict or Divine Storm to deal damage a second time at 50% effectiveness, and this effect does not consume Judgment. And then for Protection, the 2 set causes Judgment to grant you a stacking armor buff, and when you get 10 stacks your next Consecration is empowered, dealing more damage and healing, and increases its radius. The 4 set gives you a chance to deal extra damage while standing in an empowered Consecration. The set itself has some really cool pieces in it, but I think it looks a bit awkward with this huge gorget. I actually think it would look a lot better without that in there. I wish there was an option to have it or remove it, because the set itself doesn't look too bad. The helmet is maybe the worst part, but the shoulders look cool, and the rest of the armor looks pretty good. That big neck thing is in the way though. We've got the Priests coming up next, and I guess someone important on the art team is playing Priest this time around because they're getting another banger of a tier set. Let's start with the bonuses first though. For Disc, the 2 set increases the damage of Smite and Penance and causes Smite to extend the duration of an Act of Atonement by 2 seconds. The 4 set gives Smite a 100% chance to cast an additional time during Shadow Covenant, dealing shadow damage. For Holy, the 2 set causes Serenity and Sanctify to apply Renew to targets that they heal, and the 4 set gives Renew Healing a chance to give you a buff that causes Serenity or Sanctify to not trigger a cooldown, so you can cast them for free at 50% mana cost, and then they can also stack 2 times. That seems very powerful even with some of the priest nerfs in play. For Shadow, the 2 set causes Shadow Word Death to trigger 2 additional times, and 1 more time if Death Speaker is active or your target is below 20% health, and then the 4 set causes damage taken from Shadow Word Death to increase the damage of your next Shadow Word Pain or Shadow Crash, which seems like a really interesting effect to play around with. As I briefly mentioned, I think this set looks amazing. The colours, the effects, the overall look, those veiled statue shoulders and the veiled face cover, it all comes together to make a very impressive looking set. I think Priests might have one of the best, if not the best, tier set appearance this time around. There are still a few to look at though. Next we have the Rogues. For Assassination, the 2 set gives you an attack speed and nature damage buff for every 10 energy you spend, up to a cap of 15 stacks, and then the 4 set causes Envenom to also deal AoE damage. For Outlaw, the 2 set gives Sinister Strike an extra 15% chance to strike an additional time, and the 4 set also causes you to refresh one currently active Roll the Bones buff, which could let you extend some great combos for much longer. For Subtlety, the 2 set causes your Eviscerate, Rupture or Black Powder casts to have a chance to summon a Shadow Clone that echoes the finishing move, and then the 4 set buffs up your Shadow Clones to deal extra damage and grant combo points. This is another very cool set. I'm a little on the fence about the mask though. I think this set would be perfect if the mask was kind of an optional thing. I always preferred the veiled looking helmets if you're looking to obscure the face, especially with some glowing eyes. That would look really cool for the Rogues. The mask is okay though. The rest of the set looks good, and the little details like potions on the side are a cool addition. Then we come to the Shamans. For Elemental, the 2 set causes Primordial Wave to also cast Elemental Blast at your target and grants you all 3 bonus effects for 15 seconds. The 4 set causes Primordial Wave to also cause Lava Surge to buff your Lightning Bolts or Chain Lightnings and make them instant cast. For Enhancement, the 2 set causes Primordial Wave to summon a Lightning Feral Spirit that increases your nature damage dealt, and then the 4 set reduces the cooldown of Primordial Wave whenever you summon a Feral Spirit. And for Resto, the 2 set causes your Chain Heal, Healing Surge and Healing Wave casts to mark their initial target, causing them to receive 15% of all Riptide healing you deal for 10 seconds, and then the 4 set buffs up your Riptide healing, and if your Riptide is on a marked target, it has a chance to create a new Riptide on a nearby ally. The set itself looks a lot better than I thought it would. The preview that we had in the 10.2 announcement video wasn't great, but this set looks amazing in game. The animated wolves on the shoulders move around a lot more than I expected, and the set as a whole looks really good. The cloak is a bit of a miss in my opinion, but the rest looks good. Then we come to the Warlocks, starting with Affliction. The 2 set increases the damage of Soul Rot and extends its duration. The 4 set causes Soul Rot to empower your next 3 Malefic Raptures, dealing 50% extra damage and extending most of your damage over time effects, so that could definitely help keep your dots up for longer without as much micromanagement. For Demonology, the 2 set causes Demon Bolt to apply a Doom brand that explodes after 20 seconds. Your Demon Bolts and Hand of Gul'dan's reduce the duration of your primary target's Doom brand by 1 second, so you can blow them up faster and start it all over again. The 4 set increases the damage of Hand of Gul'dan, and when Doom brand explodes, you have a chance to summon a Doom Fiend for 15 seconds. So the more brands you can get out, the more damage you're going to be doing overall. And then for Destruction, the 2 set increases the damage of Immolate and gives Immolate periodic damage a chance to grant a charge of Dimensional Rift. The 4 set changes Dimensional Rift so it can summon a Flame Rift that fires searing bolts at nearby enemies. I'm not sure if Warlocks have ever really had a bad tier set appearance-wise, and this season in Raid is going to be no different. The set looks great. You have a massive demon skull for a headpiece, huge bladed shoulders, and you look like you're ready to summon forth a nasty army of demons. The only negative point I would have is that it does seem a bit simple, especially the mythic variations. And then last but not least, we come to the Warriors. For Arms, the 2 set increases the damage of Rend and gives you a chance to trigger Sudden Death. The 4 set causes Sudden Death executes to also bleed a target for 50% of the damage dealt, and also triggers a Thunderclap that deals 100% additional damage. For Fury, the 2 set causes Odin's Fury to deal 50% extra damage and causes your next 3 Bloodthirsts to deal 150% additional damage and have 100% increased crit strike chance against its primary target. The 4 set causes Bloodthirst crits to reduce the cooldown of Odin's Fury, so not super exciting bonuses for the Warrior DPS by the looks of things. For protection, the 2 set reads, spending rage has a chance to cause your next shield slam to consume your bleeds on the target, instantly dealing the remaining damage and reducing the damage they deal to you for 5 seconds. And then the 4 set causes your 2 set to further reduce your damage taken, reset your thunderclap, and reduce the cooldown on thunderous roar. The set itself is interesting. This is definitely my least favourite of the bunch. It looks a bit odd, some of the colour schemes don't seem to fit together very well, and it just doesn't look that good in my opinion. Now, one super important point to note, just in case you didn't know yet, is that we will actually get the Revival Catalyst on day 1 in Season 3 from what we've been told. We won't have to wait weeks and weeks to get that first tier set piece if you don't raid or just don't get lucky. We should get 1 charge of the Catalyst right away, so the first piece of gear that you can get that can be upgraded in the Catalyst could become your first tier set piece on day 1 of the new season. That's super cool and will give everyone easier access to these powerful new set bonuses, as well as the transmog sets. We'll get charges a bit slower, just 1 every 2 weeks instead of every week, but with the Catalyst opening up so much sooner, we can still get a full 4 set bonus sooner than before with these new changes in play. So everyone should be able to get their full 4 set tier bonus sooner, and it'll make it a lot easier to collect that transmog. But that's all of the new gear sets we can preview so far for patch 10.2, as well as all of the new tier set bonuses that we have to look forward to in the new season. Which sets do you think look the best and worst? Are there any 2 set or 4 set bonuses that you think are way too strong or need changing? Leave all your thoughts in the comment section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon and to all of our members here on YouTube. You can see the names floating by on screen. If you'd like to add your name to the end of every video with a special shout out at the start of the next video, you can find links in the description over to Patreon or click the join button just below this video. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss another video. Thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.